My organs were falling apart literally, and then the physical pain started coming gradually. It was so painful. My red blood cells were dying at a fast rate. And as to why I was losing red blood cells with such intensity, no one knew. I just remember the pain. I remember being unconscious all the time. I remember just crying and crying and crying. I'm glad for life, but yes, that's an experience that I will not forget.
Imagine looking through a black wall that stretches far without end. Imagine looking through yellow eyes into pain that sinks beyond the horizon. Imagine sinking slowly in a river of dying blood. What is there to lose when all that is left sinks around you? This right here is the journey of a champion. Across the globe, millions live with a silent and often devastating condition known as sickle cell disease. The genetic blood disorder affects the shape and function of red blood cells, leading to chronic pain, severe complications, and in some cases, early death. An estimated 20 million people around the world are affected by sickle cell disease, with around 300,000 infants born with the disease every year. It is one of the most common genetic disorders impacting regions across the Americas, Europe, India, and the Middle East. However, its burden is felt most acutely in sub-Saharan Africa.
So, sickle cell disease is a very common medical condition in our environment. About 2 to 3% of the population of Nigeria are sickle cell patients, and then about 10% are carriers. So, the sickle cell gene, while the rest of the population are abnormal, the genetic condition, that is AA.
In Africa as a whole, around 300,000 infants are born with sickle cell disease annually, making it one of the continent's leading health challenges. Nigeria alone accounts for more than 100,000 of these births, the highest in the world. Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of Congo are the only countries that follow closely, with significant numbers of children born with the condition each year. Despite these alarming numbers, sickle cell disease remains underfunded and underrepresented in global health policies. Sickle cell disease is a genetic blood disorder that begins at the cellular level within the DNA that governs how blood functions. In a healthy body, red blood cells contain a protein called hemoglobin A, which gives the cells its characteristic roundness and flexibility, allowing them to move easily through the blood vessels. These cells deliver oxygen to tissues and organs, keeping the body functioning as it should. However, in individuals with sickle cell disease, the mutation in the HBB gene causes the body to produce an abnormal form of hemoglobin known as hemoglobin S. This small change in the genetic code leads to a profound effect on the shape and behavior of red blood cells. Under certain conditions, such as when oxygen levels drop, the abnormal hemoglobin molecules clump together, causing red blood cells to distort into a rigid crescent or sickle shape. These sickled cells become highly inflexible and are incapable of moving smoothly through blood vessels. This leads to blockages, depriving tissues of oxygen and triggering episodes of severe pain known as sickle cell crisis. Over time, repeated blockages can cause organ damage and other life-threatening complications. Not only are these sickle-shaped cells less efficient at carrying oxygen, they also have a much shorter lifespan compared to healthy red blood cells. While normal cells live for about 120 days, sickled cells survive only 10 to 20 days. This rapid breakdown causes a constant shortage of red blood cells, resulting in chronic anemia and leaving individuals fatigued and vulnerable to infections. Sickle cell disease does not only affect the blood, it causes a downward effect across the entire body. This includes blocked blood flow, which can cause damage to organs like the liver, kidneys, lungs, and brain. This can cause a wide range of complications, from stroke and acute chest syndrome to heart failure and reduced life expectancy. The inheritance of sickle cell disease follows an autosomal recessive pattern, meaning that the person must receive one copy of the mutated sickle cell gene from both parents to develop the disease. A person is said to have the sickle cell trait if they inherit the mutated gene from one parent alone. Although not affected by the full disease, carriers of the traits can pass it on to their children. Interestingly, the sickle cell mutation likely arose thousands of years ago as a natural defense against malaria. In regions where malaria is prevalent, such as in sub-Saharan Africa, people with sickle cell trait are more resistant to malaria. While this genetic mutation helped millions survive the effects of malaria, it has also given rise to the widespread burden of sickle cell disease today. It becomes truly dark when in the night and in the cold Harmattan breeze, in the conflicts of your bones and teeth. It becomes truly dark when there is no one to hold your hands. For those living with sickle cell disease, the journey is often one of resilience, battling pain, chronic complications, and a constant fight for survival. In a country like Nigeria, where there are over 100,000 children born with sickle cell disease every year, the level of support often falls short of what is required. In Nigeria, just like in many parts of sub-Saharan Africa, healthcare systems are often under-resourced and overburdened. While specialized care and treatment exist, access to these services are often limited, especially for those living in rural areas. Early diagnosis through newborn screening would be a necessity in saving countless lives. However, this is not widely available. Many patients face the difficulties of affording regular care and access to life-saving medications. Chrisbo HB Champions is a club for sickle cell disease patients affiliated with the Chrisbo Medical Center, a private primary health care hospital in the heart of Ibadan, Nigeria. In addition to providing awareness and education on various aspects of sickle cell disease care, the club provides free access to testing, drugs, and blood transfusion for its members. For many members of the club, the work of the organization is testament to the importance of dedicated care for sickle cell disease patients. As far as the organization is concerned, they are not patients who are subject to the troubles of an ailment. They are champions.
My name is Chidinma. I am 10 years old. My name is
When is a battle truly lost? Is it at the drop of the last sword, or when the last body drops? Is it when blood becomes tears and tears become blood? Is it when anger, then resolve, then hope, then hopelessness, all become a distant memory? Or is it at the final call, when there is nothing to do but rest?
So as to how, under what circumstances I found out that I had SCD. My mom always told me that she knew when I was small, that I had always somewhat fallen sick, and there was this awareness that something was wrong with me. Once I had lived with my grandma, and she said that she went there to visit me. Instead of coming to a very healthy baby, what she saw was a very malnourished baby. And I think that was the first signal that I was easily inclined to being sick and all. But I think we really found out, we really put a label to the whole thing when I was 11. Yeah, I remember clearly that I had a major crisis. Normally I didn't used to go to the hospital, but then the crisis was aggravated by the fact that I was under a strenuous condition. I was going through a strenuous situation at that time. So my mom took me to the hospital, and they found out that I had intense jaundice. It was an emergency case. It was a case of me nearly losing my life. I was on the verge of death, and then a certain apex matron came around, saw me, screamed at the nurses, why is this person not being attended to? And just like that, they took me to the emergency ward, where they began to treat me.
It just started, when I first detected, she should be around 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, years then. So she was sick. We thought she's having malaria, which we treated her. So after the treatment, so there was a night we couldn't sleep. She was complaining of pains in her elbow, like this. I was like, but you didn't take injection in any of your hands. It's just your button. So why hand? So for 3 days, couldn't sleep. I was like, what's going on? I was so scared that I couldn't go to work. It was that terrible. But then I didn't have it. Nothing, it wasn't coming. That maybe it could be this.
It is by the time they come and greet me when he was in the baby, at least around 1 year, come and greet me and I tell that what happened to this boy? So I say, I'm just looking at him. What happened to this boy? I can see the eyes have some color, yellow color. So that is by that time there is crisis within the mother and the father. So I took him to the hospital to go and do the genotype. So that is when I detect it is a sickle cell. When I detect that he have some pains in his body, he complained, Grandma, this place is paining me, my leg is paining me, I have a headache. So immediately he told me that he have anything that is going on in her body. Then I have known that it is crisis.
My name is Bora Hilary. I'm a businesswoman. The co-founder of the Born and Blood Foundation, I focus on creating greater awareness of sickle cell disease, improving access to care, and ensuring that blood donation system are trained to support the needs of sickle cell. My work involved leading blood driver education campaigns and collaborating with a healthcare provider to provide the accessibility of blood to sickle cell disease patients.
Describing my struggles with the disease, I don't like to call it a disease, but with sickle cell, can take such a long time. Like, I can go on and on, just sharing experiences. I can just keep talking, like, really, about some of the very painful crises and struggles that I have particularly been through. But there's one that I think I would like to share. It was when I discovered I had hemolytic crisis. This was during my undergrad years at Obafemi Awolowo University. I had gone through a series of physical crises, like crisis in the joint. I think it's called vascular crisis or something. Like a series of that. I had been admitted to the health center. It had just been a struggle day in, day out. And finally, I was discharged from the hospital. So I thought, that was it. It was over. That same day, when I urinated, my urine was coke colored. Without any form of exaggeration, it was like blood. I didn't know. I didn't want to tell the people I was staying with at Moremi all, so I just ate it to myself. But somehow, one of my roommates caught me urinating, and they saw the urine and they were just like surprised, shocked, because the urine was bloody. And then she was so shocked. She asked me to urinate inside a bowl because she needed to show everyone something is wrong with Fumi and Fumi is not admitting it. And then she was like, go urinate, go and urinate inside. So I had to urinate in a bowl, and then everyone was looking at it, and it was coke colored. It was as thick as one would imagine coke to look like. And then they were like, Fumi, you have to go to the hospital. But because I had just survived a series of joint pains and crises and all of the stress that comes with that, I was like, no.
The doctor treated her that very day. So we went home on that January 1st. So at that middle of the night on that January 1st, I remember I got to the because I didn't know the time. It was the doctor that made me know I got to the hospital 12:59 a.m. Maybe is it a.m. or whatever. In the middle of the night, I was like, what's going on? I don't know. I hear in the afternoon. I couldn't see what happened. So after she was being discharged, so we were in the hospital for 3 days again. So after she was being discharged, so I don't know, maybe it's my mom or someone. I don't know. Someone was like, have you checked the genotype of this girl? I was like, genotype, what could have happened now? I don't understand. Why do you want me to check her genotype? Just go and do it. I said, okay. So I just take her down.
My eyes were getting yellow as a cat's eyes, like no exaggeration. It was a jaundiceful eyes, like a jaundiceful set of eyes. Like it was apparent to anyone that something was wrong with me. But then I would still go to class, still do things, and then people would look at my eyes, and then I would see them like withdrawing, almost as if they are seeing it, they're looking at a ghost. And then I guess that was when I knew that I had to take it seriously. And also with different persuasions from my friends and roommates, I just had to go to the hospital. And then when I went to the health center, the same place I'd just been discharged from recently, they looked at my eyes, they looked at me, and they didn't know what was wrong. They knew something was wrong with me, but they were not used to this kind of crisis.
That place swell up. And now can't even carry the hand again, the two hands. So we took him to the hospital, and they just tell us that we should go and give him the drug regularly. When we give him the drug regularly, the pains will relieve. You cannot put the leg down. You have pains in the leg, you have pain in the hand.
Caring of someone with sickle cell disease is in crisis. It's often deeply emotional and a challenging experience. The pain I experience, no one can explain how that person is feeling in that moment. No one exactly can say, no one can put his feet in their shoes because of how much the pain is.
So they didn't know what to do, so they transferred me to the OU teaching hospital. And it was there that they discovered that I had immunity crisis, which meant that my red blood cells were dying at a fast rate. And they were like, if I had not gone to the hospital when I did, I would have just like collapsed and died. And no crisis, like no painful crisis, but I would have just literally collapsed and died. And as to why I was losing red blood cells with such intensity, no one knew. They ran a couple of tests. They did everything that they could, but they did not see anything. They asked me questions. They could see that my liver was inflamed and everything, like my liver was tender. My organs were falling apart literally, and then the physical pain started coming gradually. It was so painful. I could not lift myself from the bed. I was like as paralyzed as a woman with spinal cord injury close to me. I was that paralyzed. We were both in a state of just like complete paralysis. I could not do anything. I could not process anything. My blood cells were dying. No doctor could know what to do. And at that point, definitely they had to transfuse blood. Because, I mean, if my red blood cells were dying, there was no way around it but to replenish.
Of course, the major problem with sickle cell disease is because of the inherited abnormal hemoglobin S, which usually it has a particular biological characteristics that predispose them to having the clinical manifestations that we see in them. So the abnormal hemoglobin actually lead to rapid turnover of the red blood cell. So they usually more often than not anemic. So because of this, there's usually need for them to to be transfused, to have blood transfusion. So that was one of the major reasons why sickle cell patients may have to have frequent blood transfusion.
I just remember the pain. I remember being unconscious all the time. I remember just crying and crying and crying. It was a very sad situation. At some point, the doctors nearly gave up, but I'm glad I'm here now. But that was a painful one. I think I was in the hospital for months. Yeah, I was there for months, so I could not. It affected me in many ways, emotionally, physically. It affected me academically because I could not go to class. I missed a lot of classes. I missed tests that were done at the time. Like, I literally was just like dealing with something that was a beast in its own right. No one had an idea what it was, except that it was a military crisis. I'm glad for life, but yes, that's an experience that I will not forget. This experience and many other ones are just part of the crisis that I have had where blood is needed urgently.
It's challenge when it comes to blood transfusion because always our blood bank it's a lower of blood.
There are certain cases, there are certain situations that could even make the need for blood transfusion to be an emergency. For example, in very severe anemia, the same patient coming down with PCV of 7%, that's critical. So in that situation, they need emergency blood transfusion. There are other reasons why they could have a need for emergency blood transfusion. For example, some of them, especially the younger ones, could have precision crisis. And in that situation, they could actually, a lot of blood could be pulled into the spleen and the liver, and then there may be very little red blood cells circulating in the blood for metabolic need of the body. So in that situation, they may actually require emergency blood transfusion.
Actually, we've been on admission for like 2-3 days there. So before they brought the issue of blood transfusion, that our blood this thing is so low, so they have to. So I said, okay, let me call my husband. So I just put the call close to the dad. Dad said, okay, he's on his way. So he gets to the hospital. He went to see the doctor and he discussed that. I said, okay, just give his consent that he should just go ahead. Although I don't know, maybe due to our own blood, whatever, the hospital did not ask us to provide the blood. They were the one that provided everything. We just been given the bill.
The period until the time when I was 11 years old. I think that was the time when there was delays or challenges in obtaining blood transfusion. As I said, I had jaundice at this time. This was the time where people just the doctors this was the time where I was just discovering that I'm a sickle cell patient, and this was also the most trying time when it came to getting blood, and that's because somehow the general hospital, there in Nigeria, I think it was the Fakoja General Hospital or something, they didn't have blood. Or they had blood and then they needed someone, before they could give that blood to me, they needed someone to replenish that blood. And then because my mom could not donate the blood, whatever, they needed to start calling people around me, asking, can you please donate blood? It was very bizarre. Even when it was narrated to me after I had woken up from unconsciousness, the whole situation was bizarre because everyone was running helter-skelter, trying to look for blood. That for me was a challenge because the inavailability of the blood at that time sort of delayed the treatment. And as much as I'm grateful that I survived and I'm okay and everything, I would have wished that there was blood enough so that my mom and other people around me were not put under the extra duress of looking for blood, or the extra stress of just having to find a substitute or a replacement for the blood that they are taking from the general hospital.
The patient coming with PCV of 7%, and then the patient's steady state is 25. I mean, the patient that's critical. So in that situation, we know that that patient will actually require a lot of blood. But how do we get enough blood for the patient? The blood bank nearby could not supply enough blood for us. So eventually we have to refer the patient to UCH, where we think that the patient might possibly get adequate amount of blood.
I've always received support from people around me, mostly my mom, in most of my crisis periods, especially when I was a child. Now I'm 27 years old, and thankfully, I have a good grasp on how to manage the situation. No, maybe not that much of a good grasp, but I am towing the line of self-management, proper self-management, and self-care and all of that. But as a kid, I received so much support from my mom, and I will always be grateful for that. And also for friends, people, especially when I was doing my undergrad at Obafemi Awolowo University. My roommates, people around me, they were the ones who supported me. During moments of blood transfusion, they somewhat always took care of it, even though there was always a shortage at the teaching hospital or something. I remember once, I think one of them had to donate blood, again as some sort of substitute for the one that I had taken. So there has been several situations whereby due to the support of the friends and family around me, I was able to get blood eventually.
So whatever happening in that moment, if I'm available, I have to be there for that person and try to carry them there, to care and try to talk to them if they want to listen, and to try to see how they can reach the treatment in the moment. In this situation, I try to be present often, comfort in that active listening.
Medically, emotionally for the patient, because like I mentioned earlier, in some situations it could be even life-threatening. A lot of time, a patient don't present on time. Of course, I will use my experience in practice to some of the experience I've had with some of these patients. There was a child about 3 years ago that was working here, with history of getting very tired, weak, and then the child lost consciousness. When the child came, that was paper white. It was paper white. I was dyspneic, was in respiratory distress because of hyperhemolytic crisis. I've lost a lot of blood. When we did PCB was 5%. Before we could say, let's go and get blood, the child died.
Friend took me to the general hospital, the same general hospital where I was diagnosed as having sickle cell. And then when she took me to the hospital, they said, as usual, it's a serious condition. If she does not get blood, she's going to whatever. So they gave me blood and everything. And then my mom came straight from church because she had heard that her daughter was in crisis mode. I think I took a pint of blood, and then they said they needed to give me another pint of blood. And then they needed to give me other treatments. Like they had so many other things that they needed to do for me. And because we were so broke, my mom could not afford the blood, the treatment, everything that they were just pouring on her. So she had to withdraw me from the hospital. She signed this form where they said, you're responsible for whatever happens to the patient. If she dies, it's your fault. And I remember her crying. Because I imagine she didn't willingly want to withdraw me from the hospital, but she just taking out the money.
And on the part of the relatives too, a lot of time, some of the relatives, they are either too poor to even get blood. They can't afford the amount that is required for them to pay for blood, and then donors are not available. So there's usually a lot of anxiety on the part of even the relative when it comes to the care of sickle cell patient that need blood.
That I have is that since that time, when it is 1 year that we tell that thing causes a lot of problem within the parents, the mother and the father, and it causes a lot of things that two of them have. And since that day, nobody asked for it.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new world, far across the river. You hear freedom calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
I would say education is key as far as the care of sickle cell patients are concerned, because there are a lot of misconceptions, a lot of beliefs, that actually the care is a long-term one. So it's not what medical professionals alone can do, but the relative and the patient are usually involved in the care. So education is very, very important. And when it comes to blood donation, generally, we know that there are a lot of misconceptions and there are a lot of challenges as far as blood donation is concerned. The best set of individuals that can actually donate blood are voluntary donors. But a lot of time we don't get voluntary donors. It's only few people that donate blood voluntarily for no other reasons. Other people donate for economic reasons. They get paid for it, but the best is actually to have voluntary donors. So we have to tell them, we have to educate them that there are some things that we are going to check to see if you are fit to donate blood. That you are donating blood does not mean that you are going to your life will be jeopardized. So you understand. So people need to be educated to know about the importance of donating blood voluntarily, because it could be life-saving for other people.
There should be an awareness. Because during my own time, actually, before I got married, one thing that I believe should be, the highest awareness should be, or people should know their genotype. It's very, very important. Because during my time, assuming I didn't mean I know, it might not be. You understand? Because I'm AS, the father too is an AS. So I didn't mean we both know it's possible we might not get married.
Life would have been better if I had quicker, more accessible, and definitely more affordable blood transfusion systems, a structure and infrastructure that works for the patients, definitely works to relieve the caretakers of the immense stress that comes with taking care of children with such diseases as sickle cell.
before the sun begins to shine. We're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I gotta make up mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up and take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, you hear freedom calling me to answer. Gotta keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my heart.
So this is me thoroughly saying that I think an effective, efficient blood donation system and infrastructure um, of blood transfusion that is quicker, faster, and affordable for patients with sickle cell disease will do well for them and for the family to which they belong. It will do well for the friends who take care of them. It will do well for even the society that they are part of. Because to actually be a sickle cell person is to sometimes borrow the blood of other people. Funny as it is, I have taken blood more times than I can count. And it's because of all of this 1 pint here, 2 pints there, blood from this person that I don't know, blood from another person that I am familiar with. It's because of all of this that I have come to actually be alive, to lead a life that is somewhat self-gratifying and somewhat conducive for me and for the society that I am in, which I am in. It is because of the graciousness of other people, either through acts of volunteering or just through acts of service, however the blood comes to be. That's the reason why Tomiwa Akinpelu is still a living being today.